little while ago, I made a video talking about an oops that a friend of mine did in Relativity, where he did not check for multiple markup sets before deleting an image. And that video I asked if you guys have any interesting oops that you may have done in Relativity, or just in general, something that people should look out for and be aware of. And I did get an interesting tip from Abdul, not about Relativity specifically, but more in general when dealing with redacted content. So thank you, Abdul, for making that suggestion. Let's talk about what he said. I don't know if this actually happened to him or anybody else, or is it just something that he recommends people to know in advance, but this tip deals with redacted content in Excel files. Now, when we produce documents, we produce Excel files in a native format unless they are redacted. And if we make any redaction, then we produce a TIFF image and we don't include a native file. Now, the situation he described is, let's say you have an Excel file with another Excel file embedded into it. And the embedded file contains some kind of information that you want to redact. So what the user would do is they would image that file, perform a redaction, and then produce that file as an image, but they would also include the original file that had that embedded file as a native, not realizing that native file contains the embedded version as well. So you're essentially producing two copies of that Excel file, one raw original Excel file that's embedded in the original, as well as the redacted copy. So that's something people who make redactions should be made aware of, to figure out where that Excel file came from and make sure it didn't come out from another embedded file. And there are some companies that do something similar with PowerPoints, where they produce PowerPoint files in native format, and it is very common to have an Excel file embedded in the PowerPoint. So if you do find privileged information in that Excel and redact it, you have to go to the PowerPoint and make sure you do not produce it as native, you produce it as image as well. And the next tip deals with trying to redact file name in the email header. So let's say you have multiple attachments that were attached to a file, and somebody went in and redacted that information, that section, so that someone else doesn't know the names of the files that are attached. Well, what people tend to forget is to check the metadata of those attachments, because if you are including those attachments, the name of the files will be present in the file name field, and sometimes the name of the file could be present in other metadata fields or inside the file itself. And a similar situation applies when you're redacting from in the email. Sometimes attachment can reveal the author of the original email, because attachments have author metadata field. So if somebody goes to attachments and examine that metadata or attachments themselves, they can figure out who the author of the email was, even though it was redacted in the original email. So those are the tips I got from Abdul. Abdul, thank you very much for suggesting them. I'm glad I was able to share them with others. And if anyone else have any good tips like that, feel free to share them with me, either in the comment section or send me a message. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.